Hello, I'd like to point out 4 species, just like that I've spotted that are pretty obvious. For someone who's used to identifying plants, after a while, they become very obvious. And I'm in a pretty nice zone here that is landscape, believe it or not. And I talked about this in the previous long form video last week, and I'm just doing a 360 here. And what I want to talk about briefly is what grows in wet zones, and that will inform us in so far as people that are on farmland and off-grid situations, rarely in an urban or suburban situation, but more out in the country where you will have to deal with swells and gullies and situations like that. But do not despair, there are plants that you could study that actually I've just spotted here in a matter of seconds that you can use. You can plant to your advantage as permaculture style plants, as regeneration type of plants. So I'm going to start with, if you see it, these tall plants, and what they are, they're a variety of willow, and they're called Sandbar willow. And I will actually put the Latin names, so that will help you for your searches. So everyone knows that willow is very absorbent, loves wet zones, good plant, good shrub, good tree to plant in areas where you have excess water or drainage problems. Kind of very nice looking too. This particular variety is not going to grow too tall and is easy to harvest too. So a lot like a basket willow, if you're familiar with that, where you can use the stems to make baskets with and living fences. So that's one that we could see. But what I'll do is I'll insert a zoomed in close-up photo to help you with that too. And I'm just walking further down to show you what kind of situation we got here. So it is a wet zone, and this is in an urban environment. This beautiful park that goes for about 3.5 to 5 kilometers east and west has little hidden gems like this one, where we find some nice species. This was partially designed on top of something that was already wild in place. So kudos to those who intervened and added some key species to the mix. And this goes on forever. I don't know if you could see in the background very faintly in the distance, but there's some bird houses there to help out with the ecosystem. And these are bulrushes. I believe the Latin term is tifa or typha. And again, I'm going to place some pieces of text as I go along to help you with the Latin terms. And this is pretty much found in many places in Canada and North America. You see they're growing out of the water. And believe it or not, there are some parts of cattails or bulrushes that are edible, especially this top part that looks a lot like a pogo stick. I remember as a kid thinking that these were pogo sticks, you know. Children have wild imaginations when they look at nature. And so there's a whole bunch of them here, and it makes sense because they found their natural habitat. And a little further, I've spotted this Canadian elder or elderberry. For Americans, you may know it as American elderberry. It's essentially the same shrub or plant. Curiously though, I could not find any signs that this elderberry actually produced flowers and berries. I don't know, unless the birds ransacked the shrub or passers-by, users of this beautiful little park, and maybe they harvested some. I don't know, but I don't see any signs of stems that may have reached out to the area where all the berries are produced. So it's kind of puzzling for me, but then again, it's pretty nice to see this Canadian elderberry growing here, and also its roots are enjoying the very humid surface below. And there's a fourth shrub that I noticed that's really nice. You see it here, and it's dogwood. So people plant dogwoods in urban and suburban gardens and traditional aesthetic gardens. But remember where all these plants and shrubs and trees come from. They basically come from the wild, right? So it's nice to see a beautiful shrub like this growing in more or less its natural habitat. And that's a dogwood, a red twig dogwood. The Latin term for dogwood is cornus. So basically this is what I found for you today, growing in this small area, maybe 40-50 feet in length here, wet area mixed with sort of meadow-like plants, and we identified 4 species just like that. Okay, so that's it. 4 species that could be easily identifiable in more or less their wild setting. And this is it for today. À la prochaine. Bye-bye.